How to build self-discipline. When you feel lazy. 7. Stoic lessons that actually work. Every morning, you make the same promise. Tomorrow, I'll wake up earlier. Tomorrow, I'll go to the gym. Tomorrow, I'll stop wasting time. Tomorrow, I'll finally become disciplined. Then tomorrow arrives. The alarm rings. For a brief second, you remember the man you promised to become. Then another voice quietly takes over. Maybe tomorrow. I don't have enough energy today. I'll start on Monday. It sounds reasonable. It sounds harmless. But that quiet conversation has stolen more dreams than failure ever could. Most people believe they have a discipline problem. They don't. They have a negotiation problem. Every single day, they negotiate with the one person they should never bargain with, themselves. And every negotiation ends exactly the same way. Not today. Here's the dangerous part. Laziness almost never introduces itself as laziness. It disguises itself as logic, as caution, as waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for more motivation, waiting until you finally feel ready. But what if the feeling you're waiting for never comes? What if motivation isn't something you find, but something you earn? Marcus Aurelius never had the luxury of waiting until he felt inspired. He ruled an empire during war. He buried children. He endured betrayal, disease, political pressure, and uncertainty almost every day. Yet nowhere in his writings do we find him saying, "I'll do my duty when I feel motivated." Instead, in Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 5, Paragraph 1, he confronts himself with a truth that still challenges us 2,000 years later. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, "I have to go to work," as a human being. He wasn't talking about waking up early. He was talking about identity, about becoming the kind of man who acts because it is right, not because it feels easy. That single idea destroys one of the biggest lies of modern self-improvement. Discipline is not created by motivation. Motivation is created by discipline. Read that again. Because if you truly understand it, you'll stop waiting for a feeling that was never meant to come first. Today, you'll discover 7 timeless Stoic lessons that will help you build lasting self-discipline, overcome procrastination, strengthen self-control, and become the kind of man who keeps his word even when nobody is watching. These aren't productivity hacks. They aren't motivational tricks. They are principles that transform something far more important: the person making the decisions. Because the strongest men were never the most motivated. They simply became the men who stopped negotiating with themselves, and everything changed from there. The modern lie about motivation. There is one lie that quietly destroys more dreams than failure ever will. Almost everyone believes it. It sounds like this: "I'll do it when I feel motivated." Nobody teaches you those exact words. You simply grow up believing them. Social media tells you to wait until you're inspired. Movies convince you that successful people wake up overflowing with motivation. Your own mind whispers, "Tomorrow you'll feel different." So you wait. You wait for the perfect mood, the perfect Monday, the perfect opportunity, the perfect version of yourself. Days become weeks, weeks become months, months quietly become years. Then one day, you wake up and ask yourself a painful question. What happened to the life I planned to build? The answer is almost never a lack of intelligence. It isn't a lack of talent. It isn't even a lack of opportunity. You were simply waiting for a feeling that was never supposed to come first. This is where Stoicism completely changes the conversation. The Stoics understood that motivation is one of the most unreliable forces in human nature. Some mornings, you'll wake up feeling unstoppable. Others, you'll question everything. Some days, you'll feel confident. Others, you'll feel exhausted before the day even begins. If your actions depend on your emotions, your future will always depend on something you cannot control. Marcus Aurelius refused to live that way. He never expected his emotions to lead him. He expected his character to lead his emotions. That is why, in Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 5, Paragraph 1, he reminds himself that getting out of bed is not a question of desire. It is a question of purpose. He doesn't ask, "Do I feel like doing this?" He asks, "What is my duty as a human being?" That single question separates disciplined people from everyone else. Modern culture says, "Feel inspired, then act." Stoicism says, "Act, and inspiration will eventually follow." Think about the strongest person you've ever met. Were they motivated every single day? Of course not. They simply stopped asking their emotions for permission. That is the first transformation every disciplined man must make. Stop treating motivation as the engine of your life. Treat it as the reward for consistent action. Because the moment you stop waiting to feel ready, something extraordinary begins to happen. You discover that action has been creating motivation all along. And once you understand that, negotiating with yourself becomes much harder. Because the next Stoic lesson isn't about becoming stronger. It's about ending the conversation that has been stealing your discipline for years. Lesson 1. Stop negotiating with yourself. There is a moment that quietly decides almost every successful day. It doesn't happen when you finish an important project. It doesn't happen when you achieve a goal. It happens much earlier. It happens the very moment your mind begins to negotiate. The alarm rings. 5 more minutes. You sit down to work. "I'll check my phone first." You promised yourself you'd go to the gym. "I'll start after dinner." Every excuse sounds reasonable. Every delay feels harmless. That is why negotiation is so dangerous. It doesn't look like failure. It looks like common sense. But Marcus Aurelius would have recognized it immediately. Not as laziness, as surrender. Because every negotiation ends with the same result. Your future loses, and your comfort wins. The dangerous part isn't missing one workout or delaying one task. The dangerous part is what your brain learns every single time you break your own word. It learns that your promises are optional. Think about that for a moment. Every promise you break becomes evidence. Not evidence that you're lazy. Evidence that your own mind cannot trust you. That is how self-discipline slowly disappears. Not through one catastrophic decision, but through hundreds of tiny negotiations that nobody else ever sees. The Stoics understood something modern psychology is only beginning to explain. Every repeated action strengthens an identity. Every repeated excuse strengthens one too. Imagine a Roman soldier guarding the gates of the city. His mission is simple: protect the entrance. Now imagine every stranger asking him to leave his post. Just for a minute. Nothing will happen. You deserve a break. If he listens often enough, the city eventually falls. Your mind works exactly the same way. Every excuse knocks on the gate. "I'm tired. I'm stressed. I'll start tomorrow." Most people open the gate without even noticing. The Stoic closes it before the conversation has a chance to begin. That is why Marcus Aurelius reminds himself in Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 7, Paragraph 15, that reason must remain in command instead of allowing temporary impulses to take control. Notice something about truly disciplined people. They don't have stronger willpower than everyone else. They simply eliminate unnecessary negotiations. Going to the gym is no longer a debate. Reading is no longer based on mood. Doing what they promised themselves is no longer optional. It has become part of their identity. That is the real purpose of discipline. Not forcing yourself to suffer, removing the conversation that keeps convincing you to stay the same. Because every time you refuse to negotiate, you cast another vote for the man you are becoming. And something unexpected begins to happen. You stop waiting to feel motivated. You begin creating motivation through action. That is the second Stoic lesson. And once you understand it, your relationship with discipline changes forever. Lesson 2. Action creates emotion. Most people believe their emotions create their actions. The Stoics believed the opposite. And once you understand the difference, you'll never wait for motivation again. Think about the last time you didn't feel like going to the gym. Your mind immediately started building a case. I'm too tired. I'll go tomorrow. Missing one workout won't change anything. Every excuse sounded intelligent. Every excuse sounded reasonable. Then imagine you stood up anyway. You put on your shoes. You walked out the door. 5 minutes later, something had already changed. Your body hadn't become stronger. Your problems hadn't disappeared. But your mind had become quieter. By the end of the workout, you were asking yourself the same question almost everyone asks. Why was it so difficult to start? Because starting was never the real problem. Waiting was. This is one of the greatest lessons hidden inside Stoicism. Most people believe the formula looks like this. First, motivation. Then, action. The Stoics quietly reversed the equation. First, action. Then, motivation. They never waited to become courageous before facing fear. They faced fear, and courage slowly appeared. They never waited to become resilient before embracing hardship. They embraced hardship, and resilience became part of their character. Marcus Aurelius constantly trained himself to move before comfort arrived. In Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 6, Paragraph 2, he reminds himself that the mind always has the power to choose its response, regardless of circumstances. That is why discipline has very little to do with controlling your feelings. It has everything to do with controlling your first movement. Stand up. Open the book. Write the first sentence. Put on your running shoes. Make the phone call. Your emotions are watching everything you do. Every action sends your brain a message. When you delay, your mind learns, we're not ready. When you avoid discomfort, your mind learns, this must be dangerous. But when you act despite resistance, your brain learns something completely different. We're capable. That single sentence changes your identity. Confidence isn't built by positive thinking. Confidence is built by evidence. Every promise you keep becomes evidence. Every workout you complete becomes evidence. Every difficult conversation becomes evidence. Every disciplined decision becomes evidence. Eventually, you stop hoping you'll become confident. You already have proof. That is why truly disciplined people appear calm, not because life is easier for them, but because they have accumulated thousands of pieces of evidence that they can trust themselves. The beautiful irony is that motivation eventually arrives. But by then, it is no longer necessary because action has already taken control. And once action becomes part of your identity, everything about discipline begins to change. Lesson 3. Become someone who keeps promises. Most people think discipline is about doing more. The Stoics believed it was about becoming someone different. There is a profound difference between asking, how can I become more disciplined? And asking, what kind of man keeps his word, even when no one is watching? The first question searches for techniques. The second transforms identity. This is where almost everyone gets stuck. They create ambitious goals. They buy new notebooks. They build detailed plans. They promise themselves, this time will be different. Then life happens. One missed workout. One unfinished project. One morning, they hit the snooze button. Doesn't seem important. But your mind notices. It notices everything. Every promise you keep improves your reputation with yourself. Every promise you break damages it. That is the hidden cost most people never see. You are constantly building a reputation inside your own mind. The question is, what kind of reputation are you creating? Can your own mind trust your word? When you tell yourself you'll wake up early, does it believe you? When you promise yourself you'll stop procrastinating, does it believe you? When you say, I'm going to change, does it believe you? Or has it heard those words too many times before? This is why broken promises are so dangerous. They don't simply delay your progress, they slowly destroy self-trust. Marcus Aurelius understood that character is measured by repeated actions, not repeated intentions. In Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 4, paragraph 17, he reminds himself that a good life is built by consistently choosing what is right instead of what is comfortable. Think about the men you admire most. They rarely talk about discipline. They don't constantly announce what they're about to do. They simply do it. Their confidence doesn't come from speaking. It comes from years of keeping promises that nobody else even knew they had made. That is why true discipline is never about impressing other people. It is about rebuilding your reputation with yourself. Every workout, every page you read, every difficult conversation, every early morning, every promise kept. Each one quietly says, I am a man who can trust himself. That is how identity changes, not through one extraordinary decision, but through hundreds of ordinary promises kept. Eventually, something remarkable happens. You no longer need to force discipline. Your identity begins doing the work for you. Because once a man truly trusts himself again, walking away from his own word becomes almost impossible. And when that happens, laziness suddenly becomes much more expensive than effort. Lesson 4. Make laziness expensive. Laziness tells one of the most convincing lies you'll ever hear. It whispers, skipping today won't make any difference. One workout, one chapter, one difficult conversation, one early morning. It doesn't matter, and for a while, it looks like it's telling the truth. Nothing terrible happens. Life continues. Tomorrow arrives. But laziness never charges you immediately. It sends the bill later, months later, years later. One day you look around and quietly ask yourself, why isn't my life where I wanted it to be? The answer is rarely one catastrophic mistake. It is usually thousands of comfortable decisions that felt insignificant at the time. The workout you skipped, the opportunity you delayed, the book you never opened, the business you never started, the conversation you kept avoiding. Every small excuse looked harmless. Together, they quietly built a different future. This is what the Stoics understood so deeply. Comfort always has a price. The only question is when you'll pay it. Temporary comfort often creates permanent regret. Temporary discomfort often creates lasting freedom. Epictetus taught that freedom belongs to the person who governs himself instead of becoming a servant to comfort, pleasure, or avoidance. Every time you choose comfort over character, you strengthen the habits that keep you trapped. Marcus Aurelius understood this too. In Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 8, paragraph 36, he reminds himself that abandoning what is right always costs more than doing what is difficult. Now imagine two versions of yourself. One gets out of bed, the other stays under the blanket. One opens the laptop, the other scrolls social media. One trains, the other waits for Monday. At first, the comfortable choice always feels better. But 24 hours later, which version of you carries the heavier burden? The disciplined man paid with effort, the comfortable man paid with regret. And regret is one of the most expensive currencies in life, because unlike effort, regret compounds. Every excuse becomes easier. Every delay becomes more familiar. Every broken promise becomes another reason to doubt yourself. Until one day, comfort becomes your identity. Disciplined people ask themselves a completely different question. Not, what will this cost me today? But, what will this cost me if I don't do it? That single question changes everything, because suddenly, the workout becomes cheaper than regret. The difficult conversation becomes cheaper than avoidance. The disciplined decision becomes cheaper than another year of becoming someone you never wanted to be. The truth is simple. Discipline always has a price. Laziness does too. The difference is that discipline asks you to pay now. Laziness waits until your future arrives. And by then, the cost is always much higher. Once you truly understand that, discomfort no longer feels like punishment. It begins to feel like an investment. And that is exactly where the Stoics discovered one of the greatest sources of inner strength. Lesson 5. The Stoic relationship with discomfort. Most people spend their entire lives trying to escape discomfort. The Stoics spent theirs learning how to walk toward it. That single decision explains why some men keep growing, while others remain exactly where they are. The moment something feels uncomfortable, most people assume something is wrong. This isn't for me. This is too difficult. I'll try again tomorrow. But what if discomfort isn't a warning? What if it's an invitation? Epictetus believed that the quality of your character is revealed the moment life stops being comfortable. Because comfort asks nothing from you. Discomfort demands that you become someone stronger. Think about every meaningful change you've ever experienced. Learning a new skill, starting a business, losing weight, building self-discipline, recovering after failure. Every single one began the same way. It felt uncomfortable, not because you were failing, because you were changing. That is one of the greatest truths about personal growth. Every new identity feels uncomfortable before it feels natural. The man who wakes up at 5 in the morning feels uncomfortable at first. The man who starts exercising after years of inactivity feels uncomfortable at first. The man who finally says no to distractions feels uncomfortable at first. Discomfort isn't evidence that you're becoming the wrong person. It's often evidence that you're leaving the old one behind. Epictetus reminds us in the Discourses of Epictetus, Book 1, Chapter 24, that we should not wish for an easier life. We should become stronger human beings. Marcus Aurelius lived exactly that way. He ruled an empire while facing war, betrayal, disease, and responsibilities that would have crushed most people. Yet he rarely complained about hardship. Instead, in Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 5, Paragraph 20, he reminds himself that obstacles are not interruptions to life. They are part of the work itself. That idea changes everything. The alarm clock stops being your enemy. It becomes your first training session of the day. The difficult workout stops being punishment. It becomes proof that your mind is stronger than your excuses. The uncomfortable conversation stops being something to avoid. It becomes another opportunity to build courage. Disciplined men don't ask, "How can I make life easier?" They ask, "What is this difficulty trying to teach me?" That question transforms every obstacle. Suddenly, problems become practice. Resistance becomes training. Discomfort becomes progress. And something remarkable begins to happen. The discomfort doesn't disappear, but fear does. Because every time you willingly walk toward difficulty, you prove something to yourself. You are stronger than the voice telling you to quit. Eventually, you stop avoiding hard things. you begin looking for them. Not because you enjoy suffering, but because you understand something most people never discover. Growth has never lived inside your comfort zone. It has always been waiting just outside it. And surprisingly, the strongest version of yourself isn't built during life's biggest battles. It's built inside the smallest decisions that almost nobody notices. Lesson 6. Discipline is built in ordinary moments. When people imagine discipline, they usually imagine extraordinary achievements: running a marathon, building a successful business, writing a book, changing their entire life. The Stoics saw something completely different. They understood that extraordinary lives are built through ordinary days. That is where most people look in the wrong direction. They wait for one big decision that will change everything. A new year, a new job, a new relationship, a powerful motivational video, the perfect morning. But life rarely changes because of one extraordinary moment. Life changes because of ordinary moments repeated consistently. The alarm rings. You get up. Nobody applauds. The kitchen is a mess. You clean it. Nobody notices. Your phone vibrates while you're working. You leave it face down. Nobody celebrates. You finish the task you promised yourself you would finish. Nobody knows. These moments seem invisible, but they are quietly shaping your future. Marcus Aurelius understood this better than almost anyone. He never obsessed over becoming extraordinary. Instead, in Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 6, paragraph 22, he reminds himself to give his full attention to the task directly in front of him, performing it with honesty, discipline, and purpose. That is how character is built. Not through dramatic breakthroughs, through ordinary repetitions. Modern psychology now confirms what the Stoics understood centuries ago. Your habits become your identity, not because they are extraordinary, because they are repeated. Imagine two men. The first spends years waiting for the perfect opportunity to change his life. The second simply keeps a few promises every single day. He gets up when the alarm rings. He trains. He reads 10 pages. He finishes what he starts. Nothing extraordinary happens. Until one day, everything is different. Because while one man was waiting for transformation, the other was quietly becoming a different person. That is how discipline really works. It grows so slowly that you barely notice it. Then one day, you realize you no longer think the way you used to. Your standards have changed. Your habits have changed. Your decisions have changed. And without realizing it, your identity has changed too. Your future is hidden inside your ordinary day. Not inside your biggest ambitions. Not inside your perfect plans. Inside the small decisions you repeat when nobody is watching. That is how the Stoics became unbreakable. Not through one act of courage, but through thousands of ordinary moments where they quietly chose reason over impulse. And among all those ordinary moments, there is one that matters more than almost every other. It lasts only a few minutes, yet it often decides the direction of your entire day. Lesson 7. Win the first 5 minutes. Every day has a doorway. Most people never notice it. It only stays open for a few minutes. Walk through it, and the rest of the day becomes easier. Ignore it, and everything becomes a negotiation. Those first 5 minutes after the alarm rings are not ordinary. They are a decision, a silent vote. A vote for the man you were yesterday, or for the man you are becoming. Most people think discipline is tested during life's biggest challenges. The Stoics believed something very different. Discipline is tested long before the world ever sees you. It is tested when nobody is watching, when you're alone, when only you know the promise you made the night before. The alarm rings. For a few seconds, two futures exist at the same time. One reaches for the snooze button. The other places both feet on the floor. One opens social media. The other opens the book. One waits for motivation. The other starts moving. The difference between those two men is measured in seconds. The difference between their lives is measured in years. Marcus Aurelius understood that the battle was never against the world. It was against the temptation to abandon his duty before the day had even begun. In Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 5, Paragraph 1, he reminds himself that he was not born to remain under warm blankets, but to fulfill the work that belongs to a human being. That lesson reaches far beyond waking up early. The first 5 minutes before a workout, the first 5 minutes before writing, the first 5 minutes before studying, the first 5 minutes before making the difficult phone call, the first 5 minutes before doing the thing you've been avoiding for weeks. Those are the moments that shape your character. Your mind will always try to negotiate. It will tell you to wait, to think a little longer, to start tomorrow. But something remarkable happens the moment you begin. Resistance starts losing its power. Momentum quietly takes its place. That is why disciplined men never obsess over finishing. They obsess over beginning. One page, one push-up, one sentence, one phone call, one difficult decision, because they understand something that changes everything. The hardest step is almost always the first one. Once your body begins moving, your mind slowly follows. That is why self-discipline is never built by winning every hour. It is built by winning the first few minutes, again and again, until beginning becomes automatic, until action replaces hesitation, until discipline is no longer something you have to remember. It becomes the way you live. Then one day, you notice something extraordinary. Nothing around you has changed. Life is still unpredictable. Problems still appear. Difficult days still come. But something inside you is different. You no longer wait to feel ready. You no longer negotiate with excuses. You no longer depend on motivation. You trust yourself. And that is the moment discipline stops being a habit and becomes your character. The Stoics understood this more than 2,000 years ago. Today, the same choice still belongs to you. One day, you'll look back at the person you used to be, not with shame, not with regret, but with gratitude. Because you'll finally understand that the greatest battle of your life was never against laziness. It was never against procrastination. It was never against a lack of motivation. It was against the quiet voice that kept telling you, tomorrow. For years, that single word stole opportunities you never noticed. Tomorrow, I'll start. Tomorrow, I'll train. Tomorrow, I'll change. Tomorrow, I'll become disciplined. But tomorrow never builds a stronger man. Today does. The Stoics understood this better than almost anyone. Marcus Aurelius never promised himself an easier life. Epictetus never promised that discipline would feel comfortable. Seneca never suggested that greatness could be built without sacrifice. They all pointed toward the same timeless truth. The man who governs himself can never truly be controlled by the world. Every difficult decision you make is shaping your character. Every promise you keep is rebuilding trust in yourself. Every excuse you refuse is another vote for the man you are becoming. That is how real transformation happens. Quietly. One decision at a time. One ordinary morning at a time. One difficult moment at a time. People often imagine that change feels dramatic. Most of the time, it doesn't. It feels ordinary. It feels invisible. Until one day, you wake up and realize something extraordinary. You no longer argue with the alarm. You no longer negotiate with your responsibilities. You no longer wait to feel motivated. You simply do what needs to be done. Not because life became easier, not because discipline suddenly became effortless, but because you became someone different. You became someone your own mind can trust. And that changes everything. Because discipline is not a habit, it is a reputation. A reputation you build with yourself every single day. Every decision is a vote. Every action is evidence. Every ordinary moment is shaping your future. The question has never been whether you are capable. The question is, who are you becoming? So the next time your mind whispers, "I'll start tomorrow," remember this: tomorrow has never changed anyone. The decision you make today will begin before you feel ready. Keep your word when nobody is watching. Walk toward discomfort. Protect your future one ordinary decision at a time, and become the man your future self will be proud to remember. If this video helped you see discipline through a different lens, subscribe to the Discipline Code. Every week, we explore timeless Stoic wisdom that helps you build self-discipline, emotional control, resilience, mental toughness, and the quiet confidence to become unbreakable. Because the world doesn't need more motivated men. It needs more men who keep their word.